So I want to welcome everyone tonight to our webinar series that we do for Horses and Humans Research Foundation. My name is Pebbles Turbyville. I'm the executive director, and I'm also the host for this evening. And we are very excited to have a presentation on equine assisted services and how they benefit older adults, given by Pippa and Jackie. And I'm going to let y'all introduce yourselves. So here we go. It's on you, Jackie and Pippa.
Okay. So first, this is our Don't Rein Me In group. It's programs for older adults, and it's Pippa Hodge and myself who've been working together on this. And this is our webinar on some of the findings we found in our pilot project. Next.
I don't know why I'm not. Oh,
okay, I'm Pippa Hodge. I'm a physiotherapist and I work at Valley Therapeutic Equestrian here in Langley in Canada. And I'm also on faculty with the American Hippotherapy Association. And I work with CANTRA, the Canadian Therapeutic Riding Association, both as a coach and a CANTRA examiner. I'm really excited tonight to share with you our pilot project on what we've been doing with our elders here in Langley.
Yay.
Thank you, Pebbles, for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks so much. We really are happy to do this and really like to share our information that we found. My name is Jacqueline. Jackie is what I go by a lot too. I'm a medical doctor. I have a variety of interests, including healthcare and community health, but also I love horses, and that's what kind of tied some of my things together here. And Pippa and I have been working together for about a year now. Next.
So program for older adults and horses. Why we got into this, I was asked to read some scientific papers for an international therapeutic riding conference a while back. And one of those papers I read happened to be from a study in Japan that was looking at seniors, and they used a balance plate. And they found that there was improvement in balance in the seniors after only like 1 hour of riding, being on the horse per month. And I thought, whoa, that's exciting. And then at the same time that happened, we had a group of OTs and PTs come to my town who were looking at seniors in terms of fall prevention. And we're doing tests on seniors to see how good their balance was. And combined with that, COVID came along. And so here at our association, our riding school, they said, okay, no sidewalkers. We can only have leaders because of being the close proximity. So I thought, okay, well, let's get some seniors and we'll get cracking with this and see how we can do. And that turned into me wanting to do some testing. And that morphed into another physio friend of mine coming along and helping me do some testing and telling me which kind of test I should use. And then I was so lucky that Jackie popped up and she's actually done some research. So boy, we were really cooking with gas. So that was how this all kind of fell together. So that was the beginning. So why older adults? I'm really keen. I think falls are terrible for the elderly, especially if they fracture a hip. It can often be a bad scene. So looking at the balance and the functional strength and posture and flexibility, these are all really important things as we age to keep going. And as you can see, the growth demographic of 25% over 65 and 30 years is huge. So this is a large population that's coming. And I just felt that if we can use the horse and the movement of the horse to help this population, it would be a really good idea. So that's really where we're coming from.
Next.
Oops.
That's okay. So the goals of our study, we wanted to narrow down what we were actually looking at and come up with a good research question. So for our pilot study, we came up with, does a 12-week course of weekly sessions of physiotherapy utilizing equine movement improve older adults' balance and functional mobility? Next.
Maybe I have my computer thinking too much. It doesn't want to do the next one.
Oh.
Hold on. I think I need to upgrade. Hold on. Nope, I'm stuck.
Oh,
Hold on. I'm going to stop sharing and then bring it back
okay.
and see if that works. We have glitches like this, you know, sometimes it's technology. So just kind of have to roll with it.
Yeah.
No worries.
There we go. Well, I thought it would do it, but now it's not. Okay, there we go.
No, we're
Now,
keep
next.
going.
There we go.
Next.
Next.
There we go.
So that was
We
our
done that
research
one.
question. Next one.
There we go.
Okay, so oh, go ahead.
Components of the program. Sorry, that's you. Yeah.
No, go for it.
All right. Using older adults, horses, the equipment we were going to use, the arena. We also have some beautiful trails here that are up and down hills, and obviously using the physical therapist and the OT or the SLP to run this program. So next.
This is my favorite slide.
So we wanted to put the Queen in there, the late Elizabeth II, as she was such a horsewoman herself and did so much for the horse industry. Next.
Getting back to our study, to pick our older adults, we had some criteria that we followed. All of our participants were over the age of 60. In our group, our median age was 73. All our adults were community living. They were independent in their daily activities, meaning that they were totally independent with dressing, bathing, going to do errands, things like that. Nobody had any major cognitive impairment in our group. We went on, if they had those four things going on, we went on to an intake assessment and went over some of the things we would be doing, but also a full history of the participant and what they may or may not have that may limit them. At over 60, many of us have had a bump or something, so that's always important to make sure that we know who's at what stage.
And butting in here with the contraindications, what I felt was really important that we had one senior with a double hip replacement, so we want to make sure we use the correct mounting techniques. We also had another a person with who had in the previous time had detached retinas, so we had to check with the retinal specialist to make absolutely sure that we weren't putting the rider at risk, and just being really cognizant of whether these were riders that were going to do suitably well in this type of program. So we were quite thorough in our assessment and who we would take. Next. So the horses, the key to the program. Next. So our horses that we used here at the Therapeutic Riding School, in Canada, we tend to say Therapeutic Riding School, but the adapted riding programs to the US, obviously the horses had to be quiet and calm and responsive. And what I was looking for were horses that had good rhythmical gaits, good symmetrical movement, that were forward walking and a good marching gait. So that was really important to me. Also having horses of a variety of width, some narrow, some broad, medium, and the height. Because we were dealing with adults, we looked to the horses that were slightly larger in our program, anywhere between 14 and 16 hand. We had a big guy who was 16, but normally around about 15.2, 15.3 was what we looked for. Prior to the session, all the horses were warmed up and went through a special warm-up protocol. And then all the horses were led by our trained horse handlers and our sidewalkers who have been through proper training. Next. So the equipment that we used, and moving on from that. So all the horses come with neck straps with a handle. We used English saddles, and we also used a Christ saddle, Devonshire boots and peacock stirrups, and obviously approved helmets. We like the transfer safety belts just for precaution, and Jackie will talk about that. And footwear is important too for the rider, for the client. So here is a sample of our neck strap. Why I like neck straps rather than pommel straps is I find with the pommel strap, people tend to get more tight in the shoulders, whereas with our elders, posture was really important. So to get them holding the neck strap if they needed it. But what we do aim for is not holding on, because once they start to grip, then we're losing the core strength that we're wanting. So we do encourage them to keep their hands on their thighs, but the neck strap is there as a safety precaution. Next. So the English saddle, I'm kind of biased. So we use the English saddle for several reasons. One, it's more close contact with the horse's back. You'll notice this saddle has a very low cantle, the part at the back of the saddle. And that's important because some of the range, the hip abduction for some of our clients is quite difficult. It's easy to adjust the stirrups quickly with little fuss. And it's also very easy to tighten the girth. So the English saddle gave us more freedom. We could do hugging the horse and all the exercises that we needed to do without any form of restriction from the equipment. Next. Next.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
I don't understand what's going on with my computer, but you know, you just got to roll with it, right?
Yep.
Yep. There's not much else we can do,
That's
so
it.
it's all good. This is like a
It
little
did happen when we practiced.
Ah.
So it should be
Okay.
the next. Oh,
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to get it back here. This is where I feel like that we should have like a commercial or something, but I don't have a commercial.
we would sing, but we're not
Yeah.
that good.
Okay, it's still stuck in that one position. I don't know what is going on with the PowerPoint. Okay, let me try this way.
There we
There we
go.
go.
Yay, pebbles.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did use the Christ saddle quite a lot. For some of the clients, they really liked it being so soft and warm without that more proprioception that they got from the English saddle. So we did use this too. We do use this. And the Devi boots, before some of the clients needed more stability, and giving them a platform for their feet helped them with their stability. Next.
So getting onto the rider's equipment, like all horse riding adventures, we always have a helmet on that is approved and is properly fitted for each client, and as well making sure that they have boots with heels. The key point on this slide was more to show the transfer belt that some people might not be familiar with. This is used commonly in physiotherapy and in other areas of medicine, but we do use it with our clients here. This is a secure fabric belt with a thick buckle. We have it secured around their waist. It helps us if there is any problem or concern with the rider. If they get maybe a little wobbly, we could always help if we need to. Or there's an emergency, we could hang on to those. But generally, we do not hang on to those. Those are just as a piece of safety equipment.
Next.
There was a question,
Oh.
since we're on the tack part. Somebody asked if you, why didn't you just use a pad and surcingle, and just didn't use saddles at all?
Well, part of that is because the saddle was able to give them a little bit more security. With a deeper seat saddle, it just gave them more stability for some of those that were very nervous. We had some people that hadn't been on a horse for 40 years. And so to me, the saddle was something that we've found more useful than a pad and a surcingle at this point. They also, most of them do need stirrups, certainly initially. So getting on then with, here's the Queen again at age somewhere between 92 and 96 on her Highland pony, Emma, who was at her funeral. But we bring this in to say, you know, riding is great at any age. Okay, next. So I'm talking here about transfers on and off the horse. I know we've put mounting techniques. Well, we did that on purpose as we thought this would be quite a wide range of viewers. So just to be for clarity, I've used the word mounting, but normally if I was talking to therapists, I would be saying transfer. So here we are getting on the horse. The horse, we always mount from the ramp, and we have a series of different blocks or steps that we can use to accommodate for the rider. Always have someone on the offside, that goes without saying. So next. So here you see, oh, can you go back one if you can? I just wanted to point out the wide amount of abduction that is necessary for some of these riders, and the balance, because here you are balancing on that one leg. So these are some of the criteria that we really look at when we're assessing. Next. And now she's on, and we're going to move out from the ramp and look at the face. I always find it interesting to look at the clients' faces during the session. And this is Scoot, one of our really good horses. He's a fabulous animal. And next. So what do we do in our sessions? Well, we always start with a warm-up. Next. And some of the exercises that we do are deep breathing exercises, working on breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. I've talked to several speech therapists who've helped me with some ideas that we use, making different sounds and really working on expiration. We do a lot of backward arm circles, because I find with the older population, they tend to get a little bit kyphotic or rounded in the back and the shoulders. Crossing over, trunk rotation is really important, but also crossing from one side to the other. So patting the horse on the opposite side, and then trunk rotation exercises we do a lot of, as well as ankle circling. So we do some of the ride or some of the session with their feet out of the stirrups, and encourage them to keep the ankle joint really mobile, because if you lose some of that dorsiflexion of being able to lift your toes right up, that can add to falls. So we're really keen on keeping all the joints as mobile as possible. Next.
I was going to say, I know we talked about questions at the end, but
yeah,
this came out. Were these participants, did they have riding experience, or was that the criteria, or they didn't have riding experience?
No, most of them did not have riding experience, I would say. Yeah. We had one who was one of the first women jockeys, and she's in her 80s. She was the only one that I can really say with any validity that yes, she'd had some riding experience. Yeah. So we always begin in the arena, so we can assess the client and make sure that everything's, you know, right. And we do a lot of walk halt transitions. We do quite a bit of rein back. That's making the horse take 1 or 2 steps backwards to engage the abdominals. And we do a lot of changes of speed within the gait, fast to slow. And again, hands on their thighs. So we're really working to engage the core. For some of the strengthening activities, we often do sit to stand is one I like. And we try and do this slowly. And yeah, here you go, sit to stand. And often we may have to get the side walkers to help stabilize the lower leg, just to give them a bit more security. So again, we try and encourage them not to be holding on, and hold that position, and slowly in and out of different positions. And we always do everything at the halt first, and then we do it at the walk. Okay, next. So what we're working on sometimes are eyes closed and memory challenges. So we'll layer stuff. So we might be having them do a simple exercise like shoulder rolls with their eyes closed, and then they have to remember and say to their helper, their sidewalker, or their leader, name all the capitals of the provinces in Canada. We did try to name all the states in all the states in the US, but that wasn't quite successful. So we've gone back to Canada at the moment. Anyway, just different games that we play so that we have 2 or 3 or things going all at once. Next. So here's an example of eyes closed, and we're doing some exercises while their eyes are closed. And why we do that, a lot of falls occur when it's dark, And we find that as you're older, you do tend to use your eyes a lot for balance. So a lot of what we do is we just take vision away temporarily. I'd like to point out, we do not ask the leaders to close their eyes, okay? I want to be very clear on that. Okay, next. So this is one of our elders. She's in her late 80s, and again, working with her to get some trunk rotation, and you can see the limited amount that she has. And so we're working on at least maintaining range, if not improving it. But look at the smile on her face. And we're outside in our beautiful woodlands and forests, and we're really fortunate. Next. So what do we use in terms of equipment? Actually, I mean, basically, it's the movement of the horse that we use, but sometimes we jazz things up a bit and keep things more novel and interesting by using stretchy bands or bean bags, throwing at targets, or throwing balls and using hoops for different activities. And sometimes we'll do it in groups of 2. Next. So here we are. This is one of our elders, and we're working a lot on posture and also rotation with this gentleman. And so here I am throwing and catching the ball. So he's getting eye-hand coordination, and then we move around so that he has to twist to get the ball and watch. And actually, it's quite fun. We might be asking him questions about other things at the same time. And you'll see there is a helper on the offside, although it doesn't look like it. But we always have volunteers on the opposite side when we're doing different activities. Okay, next.
So getting back to our research question, and I've already read it, had a 12-week course, a weekly sessions, and we went from there. One of the key components was testing. So next slide, please.
Going back to the sidewalker here, did you have sidewalkers on both sides or just one side?
Usually just on one side,
But
but they're assessed. If they need it on both sides, then we will. But usually we find that we're okay with one sidewalker.
Okay. And were they there just to kind of assist the instructor, not really the rider, not holding them in place or anything?
No, definitely not holding them in place. They're insisting, you know, me as the therapist, if I ask them to move the leg position or change something, as a therapist, they're there to, you know, follow my directions.
Okay. Just clarifying.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
For the group. Okay. We got the research question, testing.
Okay, so testing was what we were looking for is the balance, and also whether improving balance would help elders from falling. Originally in our pilot study, we used a boomer test, which is a validated, standardized test that's used in physiotherapy for elderly people. It's the balance outcome objective measure of elder rehab, and basically for assessing balance and functional mobility, which are both tied into falls, and that's what we were using. So the second, next slide. We had the boomer, balance and functional mobility was the main thing we were assessing. And there's 4 different components of that test of the boomer. So separate 4 tests make up the boomer. So next slide. This is one of our tests, just to give you an idea of what we were trying to do and how it was working. This is the time to get up and go. And we have the participant sit in the chair with her back right against the chair, her arms folded so she can't help herself get up. And then we time her. She walks 3 meters down the corridor. There's a mark. She turns around and sits back down. That's a timed event. Our participants do it well, but it was part of the boomer, and we also use it as part of the BEST test. So that was one. The other thing that we looked at, or one of the other things we looked at, is functional reach, which is included in both the boomer for our pilot study and now for the BEST, which we're going forward with our new group. We have the participants standing close to the wall with their arms outstretched. On the wall is a ruler or a measure stick. And we have somebody measuring the person standing with their feet on the line, if you can see it, but just standing against the wall with their arms outstretched. We then ask them to bend as far forward, to reach as far forward without moving their feet. And that's highly correlated to falls, being able to move off your center like that. Next. Okay, this is the one graph, and we had to have a graph for a pilot study. This is a very simple box plot graph. The main points here are with the boomer that we tested pre our 12-week course and post our 12-week course. In the red is the scores of our participants at pre any sessions. Their median score of the boomer was 14.5 out of a possible 16. That was our pre-test, and our post-test, we found that our median was 16 out of 16, meaning that some of our people probably could have done more than what we were measuring at that point, which led us to finding something a little different. And next. So the boomer, we did see positive trends in balance and functional mobility measurements, but we did see a bit of a ceiling effect, which is when our participants were able to do the tests almost too easily. The tests, they hit the ceiling, they could do it, but it didn't push them further. We weren't able to show any statistical significance based on our small number, and we needed a bit more sensitive testing. So the findings, we did see the positive trend. We found a lot of other benefits too. The active aging is a kind of broad term, but just people being more active, coming to do a bit of gardening around here, doing more walks on their own, things like that. That was interesting to us that people reported that. We also found that they had many people had a sense of accomplishment. Either they hadn't ridden or hadn't ridden in a long time. And over the course of a few weeks, even, people's confidence really improved and they were much more relaxed and enjoying themselves. As far as mental health, everybody, if anybody could be there, they smile, everybody smiles. It's great. And everybody's pretty much relaxed and has a positive outlook while we're working on that. And the other thing that we found is the social interactions, friendships, and community spirit of being here. Some of our participants also volunteer with our kids program here. So just getting more people into some supportive groups, not necessarily supportive groups, but just we're able to make those connections. Next.
So the testimonials, we asked some of our clients to give us some feedback on how they felt the program was going. And this was from a lady who is 80 years old. Being back in such a friendly atmosphere and doing the program is indeed my happy place. It challenges me to keep fit and practicing the strengthening and flexibility exercises, and to have the opportunity to do it on horseback in a completely safe environment is wonderful. I smile for a week and get to hug a horse again. Next.
So another testimonial from one of our over 80 riders, 80 years old. She goes to say, for me, I'm very thrilled to be part of this program. So great for my general fitness. The movement of the horse is a huge benefit. Very helpful for my flexibility, balance, the list goes on. I now have less fear of falling since starting the sessions. Huge benefit for my mental health. Always feel so great after my sessions on Wednesday. Now we have a bit of a video next, in the next slide with one of our participants. And I think, Pebbles, if you go to the bottom, can you get a play button on that? There, perfect. So, oops.
Oh,
Go back
sure
one. And this is just one of our participants speaking about her. Oh, is it on mute?
oops.
Okay, well, that's probably my technical error. Not only am the video producer here, but I tried to get this in and I'm not quite sure why it hasn't come through, but this is a lovely woman in our group who was the first woman in BC, in British Columbia in Canada, jockey. She's a lovely, and she just speaks about how much she really enjoys this.
And the other thing that she mentioned, which I thought was really exciting, when she goes for walks, she takes a cane with her, but now she feels she doesn't need to use the cane. She takes it merely as a sort of kind of safeguard, whereas before she was really having to use the cane. So I found that really exciting when she told me that. Next.
I'm sad y'all couldn't hear it because I could.
Oh, you could? Oh, too bad, because it's a good one. Anyways,
never mind. So going forward, things that I want to think about, and Jackie and I talk about a lot, is the structure of the sessions, the balance and strength testing improvements, and the mental health and well-being, teaching other PTs, other physios, OTs, SLPs, how they could maybe look at having seniors in their program. And then, down the line, maybe some looking at certified therapeutic riding instructors too at some point. Next. So group size, when we think about this, so we've done it in two different ways. We have had 2 in a group and we've now got 4 in a group. I think the 4 in a group is more successful at the moment. The only problem is when we're doing pre-testing, at some points we were doing pre and post-testing, it became really difficult because it was just too much to pack into the timing that we had.
and the people we have available to actually assist and help with all this.
The other thing we're looking at is session plans. What can we do that's the most effective to get the most out of that half hour that they're on the horse? So we're looking at how we can do that. And then the other component is really the well-being component of how we could work a little bit with that. Next.
So back to testing, we've talked a fair bit about it, but basically with our newer group, we've changed from the boomer test to the brief best test, very similar, but it allowed our clients to experience more difficulty in some of these tasks, and it was a much more challenging test. So next, just as an example, this is Pippa with one of our participants, and she's doing a static stance. Her feet are together, hands on hips with her eyes closed. In the boomer, she did this as well, but she was on a flat surface. She stood for 30 minutes with her eyes closed. 30 seconds, sorry, 30 seconds. Good thing Pippa's here. 30 seconds with their eyes closed on flat was really easy. So what we did is in the best test, they need to stand on a 10 centimeter foamy that you can see at the bottom of the picture here. And that makes the wobble and everything else much more, or 4 inches for the Americans.
And it's quite a difficult test for a lot of people. We're finding that this is a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Next.
So we've talked about the mental health and well-being and just how much that comes out with our participants, whether they're feeling better, they're at their happy place, things like that. And what we're looking at is we've done a fair bit of deep breathing and relaxing when we start our sessions, and people have really enjoyed that and appear to be much more relaxed. We're also trying to incorporate a bit of mindfulness, concentrating on what you're doing at the time, as opposed to all the other things and groceries you need. So we haven't got a verified test yet, but we're looking at getting one in the near future. The WHO 5 is a well-being index that's very well, is a good test, and we're going to work on that.
Next.
Yep.
So where are we going a little bit? Well, we want to share our program information with anybody who wants to listen to us. We're pretty excited about what we're doing and some of the changes that we've seen. So we're wanting to encourage other people to look at putting elders into their programs. We want to develop a program, and of course, for people that are interested from the medical aspect and the horse movement, we're using, with PTs, OTs, and SLPs. And then at some point, you know, due to the fact that there is going to be a huge bulge in the older population, and we have a fairly limited resource of PTs, OTs, and SLPs, that maybe we want to look at doing some training for certified therapeutic riding or adapted riding instructors. And I'm sure there are programs already that are working with adults. So we want to get the message out there. We want to share it with people. And that's kind of the key thing with us. Next. Goals for further research. So these have been sort of pilot things that we've been working on, and we're trying to establish what the optimal session would be, how often, what's the intensity, what exercises, and is half an hour the best time, or should it be 45 minutes? So these are all questions that we still have not answered. We want to establish progressively challenging the sessions as we go along. We definitely want to look at refining the testing. The psychological benefits is something that keeps bubbling up, that we kind of talk about a lot between us. And then increasing the awareness and the education of therapists for this. So these are some of the ideas and questions that we're asking ourselves about what we're doing. Next.
Okay, so furthering our program, as Pippa and I have already spoken about, the testing is something we're concentrating on, and some of the things that we need, we're looking for our program that would be a big help is some more extensive equipment for measuring people's balance. And one of those things is a balance plate. It's a device that is able to measure people's swaying and balance perimeters. So that's something we're looking at. And also we're a small organization, and funding is always an issue. So we're working on, you know, some of our participants have had financial challenges, and that's, as seniors on limited income, that can be something that we want to address. We also would love to have more staff and equipment and horses and land and everything else. But so that's, okay, so that's kind of a big wish list. And then the other things, again, testing, but also getting a university affiliation or some help with the different universities in our area for any sort of research ideas, help in figuring things out. And also we need a statistician for our for some of the analysis. So that's about
kind of
that's
it. I just want to thank everybody for listening, and I hope you found this useful. And we're just kind of skirting the surface of this, but I hope it's given you food for thought. And we would love to talk to anybody who's doing this, or anybody who wants information about what we're doing. It's great. Yeah. Any questions?
Yes, we have some questions. How many people were in the study?
9.
And explain the equine warm-up protocol.
So the warm-up protocol is in the arena, usually 2 or 3 laps of a brisk walk, followed by a short trot session. And then also that would include some rein back and possibly walking over poles. So the warm-up session for the horse is between 5 to 10 minutes, and the leaders do that prior to the session starting.
Okay, great. And did you assess any isolation, reduction, and loneliness impact?
We didn't actually assess it, but it is in our kind of well-being topic. The loneliness of older people has been always a problem, but with COVID and things like that, more people are isolated. We're definitely looking at it, but we don't have any stats on that at this point.
And have you seen any sustained effects on the
Yes, we have actually. I'd say we've had some of the people who have been with us since the sort of inception, and definitely, if anything, I've seen, you know, in their 80s actually continue, if anything, get stronger. So yeah, I think I can say to that, although we haven't proved it and we haven't got any data on that yet, but yeah, I definitely think that's a positive thing that we've seen.
Excellent. That's all the questions I have at this point.
Great.
Well, thank you
Well,
very
thanks.
much, Pebbles,
Thanks,
and everybody
Pebbles.
that's listened.
Yeah.
If you have any ideas, questions, feel free to contact us.
Yeah, great.
We really like to share this. I think it's a great topic.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's great that y'all took the time and really decided that, you know, we need to do a pilot study and check and start small. And now that you've done it one time, you can, you know, again, realize that you wanted to change that assessment tool and do something different. And now you've also talked about the social aspects or the impacts and how you might want to measure them. So, yeah. But yeah, everybody's saying well done, congratulations. And
Thanks, everybody.
That's great. Thank you.
and we will have this recording on our YouTube channel as soon as my volunteer processes it and puts it up. So yeah, but
Thanks,
anyway,
Pebbles.
Thank you
It's
so
great.
much. Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you.